Okay, so with this project, we were running into the problem with Ember. We have bajillion different files that would load all throughout the project, and that resulted in like about 1,300 files getting loaded every time you reload the page. So it'd take 2 to 2 minutes to load each page, and so we needed to figure out, okay, how do we solve this problem? And the solution isn't the most convenient solution, but it works. And so what we've done is what I've done is I've taken and instead of using the asset pipeline, I'm using the public folder and having everything get compiled into the public folder because, Rails will look in the public assets first, and if it doesn't find it, then it will, sorry, I'll make it so you can actually see it. So look in the public assets folder first, and if it doesn't find it there, then it'll go to the asset pipeline. So what we've done is I've added these lines into here. Oh no, these lines into the development settings here. Oh no, what did I do? Come on, there we go. Into the config development settings to basically say, okay, go ahead and compile everything into the application .js. We want the digest so it will refresh the manifest. And so basically every time you make a change that you need to get onto your server, you have to go in and you have to compile all the assets, which is a pretty quick deal. And I'm using the bin spring, so it starts up the thing faster. Then you kill your server and redo it. Well, if you're not screen sharing, it's pretty fast. There it goes. Kill your server, restart your server, and everything's into the application.js. And instead of taking 2 minutes, there we go. We can see that it only took 10 seconds to load. And when I'm not screen sharing, it only takes about 4 seconds to load. So, it takes, with recompiling and restarting your server and then refreshing your page, maybe 15 seconds to do, versus waiting 2 minutes to load 1,300 files. So it's a way to increase your load time. The disadvantage is, everything is in the application.js. So if you need to find something that you are working on, and so we'll just grab something here. If you need to find something you're working on, you copy and paste, and you find. It's not in the public here. Sorry. One of these will have it. Something that's actually loaded. A page of my own here. There we go. So you just search for that line because everything is compiled into this one file, and then you can stick your debugger in there if you need to actually do some work in there. So, any questions?
And it looks like you could probably also just type the debugger keyword into that.
You could do that too. You could just type the debugger into here and.
Okay. And then when you do that, you're going to have to restart your server. Is that what you said?
Correct. Any changes you make, you have to restart, recompile, restart, refresh, and then you'll automatically hit that debugger inside of here.
Okay. So my question is how much more work would it take to get this into, so that it's not put in one file, and so that it is has a live reload type?
And I tried doing that with this live reload here. And the live reload, it kind of works. Like the first time you make a change, it automatically recompiled everything, but then after that, it wouldn't do it anymore. So maybe it's just something wonky with my computer. But the second problem was to restart the server, you have to start your server using just pure Unicorn Rails. So it's a little bit more tricky to get your server started because you have to do all the Unicorn Rails commands instead of just saying Rails-S. So that is an option, and I tried messing around with that a little bit, but it still puts everything into the one application.js. So I'm not sure if there's a way around that.
It seems like we could write some kind of a watch task, though, that would do just constantly do a rake assets precompile and dump everything into the public directory, and that might avoid having to restart, right?
Yeah, and as far as
yeah,
as far as keeping them in separate files, it seems like you could right now the reason they're coming, it's only a single file, right, is because you have the Rails helper that includes that one file, right? But you could maybe swap that out or something, or override it, I don't know, so that it in the debug, in development, it just dumps all of the individual JavaScript tags in there.
Yeah, but that's the actual problem, though. We don't want all the individual JavaScript files, because then you end up with 1,300 of them that have to be loaded into the browser, and that's what slows us down.
That's what its default behavior is.
Yeah,
right?
that's the default behavior. We want to avoid that because it takes 3 minutes to load 1,300 files. So instead, we put them all together and we load one single file, and that is faster.
Okay, so I missed the part about how you told Rails to not explode that list. How did you do that?
Just simply by telling it to compile all your assets. It by default puts everything into the application.js in the public folder, and then Rails will go to that public folder and say, hey, is there an application.js here? No, there's not. Okay, go to the asset pipeline, find the application.js there, and then that includes all the different separate files.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I've got my rake task here that automatically recompiled, and the unicorn kill thing here. So it does work the first time, but after that it's like, yeah.
Okay.
So someone could take that on and do research why maybe that could do.
Why it doesn't catch it every time? Yeah, that's something they could do.
Yeah.
My experience is that it seems like in some scenarios, if you're actually still compiling when you restart, then that's part of what screws it up.
Yeah, and that was one of the problems is this sometimes happened too fast, and so the server would restart before the compiling finished, and you would get the old manifest file still.
Yeah, so maybe if they put a pause in there or something.
Yeah.
Or somehow we're able to wait on the precompile until it was done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I had another comment I was going to say, but I forgot it. So.
Well, all of those have to be, they can't be cached because their name is the same each time, and it doesn't know, so it has no other way to tell which ones have changed and which ones haven't. So you can't, I imagine it's setting down a no cache header from the response from the assets.
Yeah, and we already decided that the individual files, that approach can't work. That is the problem.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, James.
And the trade-offs there, I think, were worth the increased development time. That instead of being able to refresh only 30 times an hour, I can refresh several times an hour. And this was especially useful when I'm going through the JavaScript log and saying, okay, here's a deprecation, I need to fix it, refresh the page. Every time you do that, waiting 2 minutes, that's a really not a great way to spend your time.
So I think it would maybe be worth spending a little more time seeing if we couldn't get this to work. I don't know who wants to sign up for that. Maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I could look at it with you, like James.
Any other questions?
Nope, this looks good. Thanks for figuring it out.
You're welcome. Thanks for helping me.